And Mark, let's move on into the next team. They finished third in the NFC West. That is the San Francisco 49ers. And if you're just tuning in here on YouTube, make sure to rate and review the Onside Kick on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Every 5-star rating means the world to us and helps us get into the ears of more people. I believe the Onside Kick, the last time I checked, I think we're a 4.5 out of 5.
That's
so
not
there's
bad.
no way that we can get that perfect rating like the Rick and Johnny podcast has. Shameless plug. Yeah, we're at a 4.5 out of 5 with 19 ratings. The last one was from Twitchy. He said, really like it. Hell yeah. 5 stars.
You the man, Twitchy.
So let's get into the 49ers like we do for each team, go through their kind of rankings and offensive yards per game. They were 16th in the NFL, 360 yards. Points per game, they were just over 21, 21st in the league. Defensively, they gave up 346 yards per game, which was good for 13th in the league. But points per game, they gave up quite a bit, 27.2, which was good for 28th all time. That was the, let's say, if we're flipping it, that would be what, 1, 2, 3, 4, what, the 5th most points given up by an NFL team. This is a team that will obviously be getting back Jimmy Garoppolo this year, but other things they did in free agency, they signed Kawan Alexander, linebacker, to a 4-year deal. They bring in Tevin Coleman, reuniting with Kyle Shanahan on a 2-year deal. They trade for D Ford, outside linebacker from the Chiefs. They placed the franchise tag on Robbie Gould, but he hasn't signed with them yet. They signed Jordan Matthews to a 1-year deal. They bring in guys like Mossert to a 3-year deal, running back, Jason Verrett, Jimmy Ward, Mike Pearson, which is cornerback, defensive back, and offensive guard. And their biggest draft picks were Nick Bosa on the defensive side, Deebo Samuels, and possibly a Jalen Hurd on the offensive side with the wide receivers. But the first thing I want to get into is the injuries. And the 49ers have 2 big guys on offense coming back from injury. One is their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. The other one I'll throw in there is Jerick McKinnon. Let's start with Garoppolo. What do we expect from Jimmy coming back from his injury last year?
Well, I don't really know why we're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. They got a good quarterback. His name's Nick Mullins. That's the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, Nick Mullins. That's their man.
Really? That's
their
what we're
guy.
gonna do?
That's their guy right there, Nick Mullins. I mean, did Jimmy Garoppolo throw for 2,000 yards last season?
No, he would have
I don't
thrown
think
for more.
I don't think he did. Anyways, with Jimmy, here's the thing. I have zero faith Jimmy Garoppolo will ever play a full season in the NFL. It's a full-on, I'll believe it when I see it, and even then I'm going to ask you to prove it a second time. It's just all... Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, is the pure personification of the pretty boy syndrome. He is a quarterback who is a pretty boy, who's shown us some good things. And when I say pretty boy, yes, he's a pretty man. But I also mean, like, he's a pretty quarterback.
Yeah.
He's got the arm strength. He's got a lot of those prototypical things you like. But he's never actually given you enough. He's only given you these small little samples that he is getting so much benefit of the doubt from the NFL to where it's just like he really hasn't actually deserved what he's kind of gotten. And a big thing is quarterbacks don't get as lucky as Jimmy Garoppolo do to basically play for like 6 games and get yourself a big contract for it, even though you got injured in the process. Well, he got traded and then got a big contract. But play for the San Francisco 49ers, get hurt, and still have them have so much faith in you. The San Francisco 49ers could have drafted a quarterback if they wanted. They were number 2 overall. I don't blame them for taking Bosa instead. That was the correct choice. That's what they should have done. And I'm not saying they should have went out and gotten a quarterback. I do think Jimmy Garoppolo deserves a second chance here, because why not? Your team's not good anyways. You know, you're better than the Arizona Cardinals. Let's not get that mistaken here, but you were still not a very good team. Jimmy Garoppolo has gotten so much leash that a normal quarterback wouldn't get. And I just think it's interesting. And I like I said, it's the pretty boy syndrome. He's a nice franchise quarterback who, he shows you the beautiful arm. He's got those little bits of promise.
I don't think it's not a pretty boy syndrome. I
think it is.
It's a potential is what we're looking at. Is he's been sitting behind in New England Tom Brady for his entire career.
So have many quarterbacks that have failed in the place that they went to next.
Apparently supposed to, but you can't put that on. Like, you can't put that on Jimmy.
But I'm just saying you can't.
Yes,
also,
it's a trend.
But then you can't also use it in his benefit.
Well, I'm looking at it as it hurt him in a sense of, like, he had to sit behind Tom Brady. I'm not saying he learned anything from Tom. I'm saying he had to sit behind Tom Brady, so we didn't get to see his potential. Like, there was a while before that season that Tom got suspended where people were asking, is he even any good? Like, is Jimmy Garoppolo good? What do we expect from Jimmy Garoppolo? Because we never seen him play. It was always, he's going to be the heir apparent when Tom retires. Then the whole thing happened with the article that came out from ESPN, Sean saying it's bullshit. I don't think it was bullshit because there's some truth to it now that Jimmy gets traded. Who was the one that pulled the pin on that? Basically, Robert Kraft. He's the owner. If he wants someone traded, they're going to get traded. And then with the 49ers, gets injured last year, which should have been his big year with San Francisco. Of course, the year before, they're like, hey, we trade for you. We're just going to shut it down. No reason to get you injured after trading for you in that season. I still say even if the Patriots, and I've made this point many times, so I don't need to labor on it too much, but he goes out there, he looked really good with the Patriots. Everyone's like, wow, he is the real deal. He gets hurt. And you know who also looked really good? Brissett. He looked really, really good as well. And to me, that says, once again, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Bill Belichick's system is amazing. Yeah, but I also think that Kyle Shanahan's system is good for him. Well,
I mean, Nick Mullins, I joked about it, but Nick Mullins actually did look good.
Well, and that's the thing of, like, Kyle Shanahan is a system that if you fit in that system, you can do well. Look at Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
And the one thing I just have to double check is if, let's see. Yeah, so 2017, Jimmy's first year in
Shanahan's
San Francisco
first year
was his first year. You look at those 6 games, a good completion percentage of just above 67%. In those 6 games, had just over 1,500 yards. So I'm going to do basic math, and I know that you can't do this, but I'm just going to go off of the average here. I'll round down to 1,500. So we have 1,500 divided by 6 times a full 16. That's a 4,000. That's a 4,000 yard season potentially for Jimmy Garoppolo. He was on
pace for a 4,000 yard
exactly,
season.
And he had 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, and pretty much the only thing for me that was concerning: 5 interceptions, 8 sacks, and that's the only things. The 3 games that he had, the Minnesota game wasn't his best game. The other 2 games against Detroit and KC were a lot better.
It's almost like you were saying, when he plays a good defense, he doesn't do well.
It was also that first week. I feel like the first week, Jerick McKinnon he got injured in the preseason, but it was like George Kittle was also, like, there was that new tight end situation there. And with Jimmy Garoppolo, I just feel, yes, he's gotten injured twice now, because he got injured and why Brissett came in when Brady was suspended. The question is, it's not whether Garoppolo is going to be good, because I feel like if he's healthy, he is the franchise quarterback for the 49ers. The question is, and you kind of alluded to it, but this is more of what I think it is he going to be healthy? Is the injury in New England, the injury last year, is that signs of things to come? When you're injured, you get injured again, and then it keeps happening over and over and over.
Yeah.
Or was it just a freak thing and we don't have to worry about injuries with Jimmy Garoppolo?
And to be fair, we criticize that Kyler Murray hasn't faced real NFL defenses. Eastern Illinois doesn't play real NFL defenses.
Yeah, but he's so far out of the league.
But we said it ourselves. He didn't get to play. He didn't get to play very much.
I mean, looking at the teams, and I'm going to go through his whole games per.
But my point is, when he's played real defenses, when he's been a quarterback who plays, he gets hurt.
Let's look at it. His rookie year, the only game I'm going to use is he threw 17 passes against Buffalo. They lost 17-9.
Yep.
2015, he didn't really play at all.
Nope.
He threw 4 passes that entire year, so that's a wash. 2016, 2 games he played. Miami, they won 31-24. The Cardinals, they won 23-21. But that was not last year's Cardinals, 2 years ago. And those Arizona Cardinals.
Basically the end of the
and those
Arian
were early in the year. That was September 11th and September 18th.
And what happens in that one? Got hurt when he played a good defense.
And then we look at 2017. He, against Chicago, 15-14. Played really well in that game, although he didn't have any touchdowns. But then also beat Houston, beat Tennessee, beat Jacksonville, and beat the Los Angeles Rams. And those were all with the 49ers. So he came over, beat the Bears, beat the Texans, the Titans, the Jaguars, and the Rams. And the lowest completion percentage he had were 60% against the Texans and the Rams, respectively. Both of those were road games. Teams like the Bears, Titans, and Jags, he had 70% or above completion. I just look at it and I go, not every single bad defense he's played, he's done bad. Yes, some of them have been
good defense, I think you mean.
Good defense.
Yeah.
Have been worse games than others. But I think the bigger question is his health. It's not, can he be successful? It's, can he be out on the field to be successful?
Well, I mean, I don't want to harp on this too much, but I think when he's played almost every single good defense he's played, he's almost had a completely even touchdown to interception ratio. I think that's a really scary stat.
You got to keep the interception numbers down.
In his best season, he nearly had an even touchdown interception ratio, and it's not like he's got amazing weapons to throw the ball to. So you got to give him some leeway on that one.
Well,
but still,
that's why I lean into the other guy that was injured, Jerick McKinnon. Now with Tevin Coleman coming in, do you expect McKinnon to be the main back, Coleman to be the backup?
I'm gonna say probably committee.
Okay.
Pretty even split. Between their options.
Because Jerick McKinnon was set up to potentially have a really good year last year, and then the knee injury, I think it was an ACL, derailed them. They also got Matt Breida, who also had a solid year last year. So, I mean, I could see them going with committee, but it's like with Tevin Coleman coming in, what does that kind of fit with? And I think that McKinnon is obviously the main back. It's just how much of Breida and Coleman and what situations are we going to see?
I don't even know if I think that McKinnon is the number one back here. I'm leaning more towards a pure split just to keep things safe. Yeah, keep it safe, keep it even. I mean, the thing I love about the San Francisco 49ers here in this offseason is they did a lot to try and make this team better. They're doing everything they can. Part of it's easy when you're number one or number two, but basically number one pick because of Kyler. And you can get Nick Bosa. That's huge. When you go get Deebo Samuel, who should be an awesome wide receiving weapon for you, you got Jordan Matthews on this team now, which should be a pretty good weapon as well. You're going out and getting a lot of additional pieces to your puzzle here. Richard Sherman's still there, and I know Richard Sherman wasn't amazing necessarily last year, but the whole team wasn't great last year.
He's a good leader, though, on that defense.
Yeah, you've got a lot of the pieces here. You should be able to get something done.
The thing I want to throw out, though, about Jordan Matthews is, for me, has not been I'm going to say, I know he only played in 14 games last year, 10 games in 2017.
Yeah.
My question is, what Jordan Matthews are we going to see with the 49ers? Are we going to see the Jordan Matthews that we saw with Buffalo and Philly in 17-18, or can I see the Jordan Matthews that I saw his first run in Philly in that 2016 year, 2015-14, where he was an 800 and above yard receiver per game? Am I going to see that guy, or am I going to see the one that I saw the last 2 years where it's like, well,
he's okay.
He's okay. He's a 300-yard guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what their expectation out of him is with, they go and get Debo, they go ahead and get Jalen Hurd. They've got George Kittle, who seems to be such a valuable piece to this puzzle. So they might not have a huge expectation for him to be a 800-yard receiver. They might say 500 is good enough. We're all right with that. Obviously, I think they're going to want more and more and more from anybody, because why not? But, yeah, I don't think that there's the huge expectation for him there.
I also like defensively, they've made moves. I mentioned Alexander. He's going to play the Mike linebacker position. D Ford in a trade. He's going to probably be on the defensive line on the outside. Now they have Nick Bosa also. They're hoping for the Bosa D Ford defensive end bookmarks or
scary.
bookends on
You got
each side.
Buckner out there as well. It's a scary line.
You've got Richard Sherman in that backfield, like we said, older, but still, to me, a quality cornerback and a quality leader on that defense. I wonder how much of this, like, if the pieces fall in place, I think the 49ers could be a team, and I know people are going to say, well, Ricky, you were high on the 49ers last year. You had them 10 wins and above.
They were number 2 overall.
But the 49ers could be a team, I think, that people sneak their way into people's expectations, where it's like a team that was bad the year before, but then is a 9-10 win team. You're like, holy shit, I forgot about the Niners. Like, the Niners are doing really good. Like, that's what they could be, where you kind of almost forget about them because of the season they had last year, that they may surprise people when they're in a playoff race this year.
And here's the thing: if we can move into the schedule a little bit,
Go ahead.
they've got some things going well with them. They can start on an absolute roll. Jimmy Garoppolo will be there. He'll be healthy. Yes, you got back-to-back away games to start, but it's against Tampa Bay and Cincy.
Manageable opponents.
You can be okay.
I would even say week 3 is a manageable opponent.
You're gonna, if you had the momentum rolling in here against Pittsburgh. I hate the bye week. Week 4 bye is always terrible. It's like the season hasn't even started yet, and you already got a bye.
Yeah.
But then it gets a little bit tough with Cleveland and LA. But Washington and Carolina, I don't think you're that far off from a Carolina team. Then with Arizona, it's just these streaks. This team can go on these little runs that can carry them to a pretty decent season. Unfortunately, the end of the season kind of terrifies me. Green Bay, Baltimore, New Orleans, Atlanta, Rams, Seattle, at Seattle. So I feel like this is a team that will have some hope, and they'll be right in there at like mid-season. People are like, yeah, you know what? These San Francisco 49ers, they can make a run in the playoffs, I think. They might be able to do it. And then they're going to hit this brick wall of all these really good teams, and I think that's going to kind of put them, and I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm saying that's going to put them in the not yet category. You're almost there, assuming Jimmy Garoppolo's healthy. You're almost there, but just not yet. This isn't your year.
Here's the thing I look at. In week 12 through 17, I agree. I look at that and go, ugh. But the thing is, what can they do in those first 11 games? And when I look at it, this is a team, you say that you go against Cleveland, I'm sorry. Until originally when the OB...
You can't say until Cleveland proves itself and then say that San Francisco 49ers are good to go.
Oh, no. I'm saying that in that one, I could see the Browns winning it, but coming off the bye week in San Francisco, Monday Night Football, I'd give the edge to the 49ers in that one. And when it comes to the Browns, I know after the OBJ trade, everyone wants to be like, crown them, but let's simmer expectations. Like, I'll let people in. After the OBJ trade, I was like, you know what, guys? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the Browns my Super Bowl champions just to give them the kiss of death with all the hype. I have simmered down from that of recently. You know what? Let's simmer down now. Let's think of this realistically. I don't think that's an opponent that comes into the 49ers, and the 49ers are like, man, we should be scared of this team. It's more of an even matchup in my mind. Now, the next one against the Rams is a different story. I see the first 11 games. The only... I see a potentially, at worst, 4 losses. Steelers, Rams, Panthers, Seahawks. But in those games, let's say they win 3 of them. They're 2 losses going into week 12. That would be, 8-2 going in? okay, now things are different. I'm not expecting to lose every game from 12 to 17.
I'm expecting that.
But if I go, like, if they go 8-2 in those first 10, then they can, like, at worst, hey, we went 2-4 to end the season, but it doesn't matter. We're still 10-6. Sets us up very nicely for the playoffs. Or let's say they get lucky and they're only a one-loss team heading into that. That just gives them more cushion heading into that away game at the Saints, heading into that away game against Baltimore, the away game against Cincinnati. Because when it comes to the division, if Jimmy Garoppolo's healthy, if Jerick McKinnon's healthy, Cardinals don't win like they did last year. The Rams could potentially be a split in my mind, but I could lean with the Rams winning both of them.
That Super Bowl hangover.
And I think Seattle is definitely a split if everything rolls the right way for the 49ers.
I just can't see the San Francisco 49ers right now, with what I know, which is that Jimmy Garoppolo's an injury-prone quarterback, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's going to be healthy. I still don't see them as better than a 7-9 team.
And that's with a healthy Jimmy Garoppolo.
Because week 12 through 17, they're playing all playoff caliber teams.
So let me ask you this. Just week 12 to 17.
Yes.
How many wins and losses do you have in that?
0 wins, all losses.
So that means heading into that, you're going to have, what, that's 6 games. They're going to be, what, a 7-3?
Yeah.
Okay, that works out. So 7-3 heading into
losses probably against LA, Carolina, and then it's a toss-up for me between like maybe that first Seattle game, maybe that Pittsburgh game.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that because those were the ones that I saw. I don't think it's a possibility week 12 to 17 they go 0-6. I just think at worst they get 2 of those, and that's only because the Packers and the Falcons. Those are the 2 that I look at of like they can win. Like Jimmy Garoppolo against Aaron Rodgers.
But remember, Aaron Rodgers hates the 49ers.
I get that. But both of them being
he loves to beat them.
Both of them being at home, I feel like plays into a positive for the 49ers. Although I could see 0-6, but really I see
Atlanta's my
worst
biggest
2-4.
question mark thereof.
Dude, they could be a good team. They could be a bad team. They were riddled with injuries last year.
As much as the Bears fan in me wants to rain on the Green Bay Packers parade, I know better than to ever count them out.
Yeah, they're a team that I am going to be iffy this year because of the Matt LaFleur hire. How's that going to mesh with Aaron Rodgers this year? But any final thoughts on this team? Anything we didn't touch with the 49ers?
Kittle. Gronk is gone.
Is he going to have as good of a year? I mean, Gronk was with the Patriots, but
I'm saying Gronk is gone, so he's the heir apparent to number 1 tight end, right?
I'll ask you this question, and this is kind of a fantasy question,
especially with a good quarterback out there.
If you are drafting for your fantasy team, obviously number 1 pick will probably be Travis Kelce. Zach Ertz will probably be number 2. Is George Kittle the for sure 3rd guy, and is there a possibility you're taking him over a Kelce or a Ertz?
I think that people will. The hard thing is just you don't know if the quarterback's going to be there. If he's got a Jimmy Garoppolo...
I mean, he was good last year with Mullins.
Yeah, but that's my thing. If he's got a Jimmy Garoppolo...
then he's really good.
You can imagine him being like Travis Kelce with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
The other thing that's going to be the big question mark are two couple of guys, Hawkinson and Noah Fant. Where they're going to fall in there. Because people are going to have, especially Hawkinson, I think, people are going to have a really high fantasy expectations for this year.
Yeah, I mean, if Garoppolo's healthy, I mean, George Kittle's stock, I think, can skyrocket because he blew the doors off for me. I know Dave was all like, that's my boy George Kittle, but it's like, come on, Dave, you didn't know he was going to be like that before the year.
Or if you don't believe in Jimmy Garoppolo, get Kittle, have him for a couple weeks, try and trade bait him.
Hey, you could do that as well. But let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section. What should we expect from the 49ers this year? Will Jimmy Garoppolo stay healthy? Anything we talked about in this segment.